Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Etch Play Weekly Live Show. I'm Ben Joy, haven't been here for a while, but I'm back and I'm joined by Adam Burr. Adam, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good. How are you? It's hot.
It's really hot. I mean, I'm up in Leeds and it's even hot here. My laptop's saying it's 25 degrees outside in Leeds, so I can only imagine down south you must be at least, 26 and a half?
26 and sunny. I've had to close the window to reduce the amount of local pollution of noise there is on the stream, which I'm going to regret halfway through the show when I'm sweating, but no, I'm good to go.
Yeah, I'm not as considerate as you. I've still got my window wide open and they are actually resurfacing the roads around here, so I'm hoping they've done this bit and they're not going to come back and pollute with the noise. But yeah, it's been a busy week in the world of games. There's been no E3, but there's been about 1,000 other events going on in the digital space. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in the news, but we're going to look a little bit more of it in the discussion section. So we're going to look at some of the best and the trailers that we got our attention of, really. So we're going to do that in a little bit. But first, we're going to dive into a little bit of news. Are you ready, Adam? You ready for some news?
I was born ready.
Nice.
Ready for E3 at all times.
Then let's get cracking with the news. So first up, we're going to be talking about the Summer Games Fest kickoff show. So it leaked a little bit ahead of time, a little bit before the show, but the big tidbit from the Summer Games Festival launch stream was that The Last of Us Part 1 is getting a remake. It's going to be called The Last of Us Part 1, and it should be set to be complete by Naughty Dog. It's a rebuild of the 2013 title, but it's going to be built specifically for the PlayStation 5. And it's due to launch September 2nd, 2022. So not too far away. That'll be with us before we know it. Writer Neil Druckmann also discussed the upcoming HBO TV adaptation and confirmed a standalone multiplayer game is still in the works, showing off a new piece of concept art for it. Also, away from the online stream, another surprise came in the form of a limited access physical event for press. Unlike E3, the Summer Games Fest has been a traditionally online-only event, so this is a sign that perhaps they also want to take over the physical side of things too. At the event, attendees were able to play several upcoming games, including Street Fighter 6. There was no public access possible this year, and it was invite-only, so it was people who work at the likes of IGN and magazines and things like that. But at the end of the online stream, Jeff Keighley did suggest that a bigger physical presence may be likely in 2023, so that's something to look out for there. The online show also featured Routine, which we're going to look at a little bit later, which is a sci-fi horror game which was announced a decade ago and was thought to be dead. And there was also a video of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, which everybody loves to see, and he was promoting an energy drink. And also Black Adam, not just the energy drink, but also Black Adam. Warhammer, Dark Tide, Goat Simulator 3, and a new Aliens game also debuted trailers. So there was lots going on from the Summer Games Fest. Adam, what caught your attention at the Summer Games Fest? Any of those big news? You excited about The Last of Us Part 1 getting a remake?
I mean, it wasn't originally called Last of Us Part 1, it was just called The Last of Us when they first released it.
Obviously, yeah.
They weren't so presumptuous as to call it Part 1, the first one they ever made. But I guess, I feel a little bit sorry for Jeff Keighley, the host, because that was his one big surprise, and that's the one that kind of leaked out there in advance. People kind of knew it was coming. And there wasn't really a great deal of other surprises. There was definitely stuff in the show worth seeing, lots of interesting trailers, but maybe none of those kind of like classic E3 press conference kind of bombshells that maybe you would expect from like a E3 or an E3 replacement. I do think that Last of Us being remade is a little strange in itself. They only remastered it a little while ago in the first place, but I guess they're doing it because they're releasing the show on HBO. There's a bit of a tie-in there, but we're definitely, you see for yourself online, you can compare the screenshots as whether you think this remaster is worth it. And they definitely put a lot of work into it, but it's maybe slightly diminishing returns when it already looked so good in the first place. It wasn't exactly crying out for a graphical upgrade at any point. Last of Us has always been a very good-looking game. So yeah, that's an interesting tact for them to take to kind of, I guess, promote the show and promote the kind of wider Last of Us universe they want to kind of build and franchise out from. The physical event surprised me quite a lot, actually. Like I was I've always thought that's one bit of E3 that's really fascinating is the actual trade show, the show floor. There's this kind of idea that you can wander around and play these like demo kits, kind of like you used to get in like shops back in the day, like a little demo kit with a little Xbox under a glass dome bubble, and you can play a game that's not out yet. And it sounds like that went really well, which is interesting because I think that's possibly that people will maybe have thought E3 hasn't done very well recently, that E3 have made it more and more public, E3 have made it more and more, I guess, hectic in the halls of E3 at the LA Convention Center and Kensha Hall and all those sorts of venues. Whereas this was a bit smaller, a little bit more focused, and I think people, at least the press that I've read reviews from, really appreciated the chance to actually go hands-on with titles like Street Fighter 6 and get some real impressions, which is hard to do remote. It's hard to get good impressions of a game's performance over the internet, over over a Zoom meeting or something. So yeah, definitely interesting show, but not quite as big as maybe we would have hoped in terms of newsworthiness.
Yeah, I agree, and definitely with you on the physical side of it. I mean, if they do open that up to some of the public as well, that'll be interesting. Maybe in 3 to 4 years, the Summer Games Fest might end up being what E3 was, and essentially E3 is now the Summer Games Fest, and it turns into this much bigger event. I've said, not being able to really get to E3 realistically, and obviously E3 was always online anyway, but it'd be interesting whether it goes back down that route, because the digital events are so accessible for everybody. I think a takeaway from this, even for people think about doing a physical event, is what they can do on the digital side of it as well to keep everyone seeing it in real time at the same time as everyone that's on the floor. But definitely one to keep an eye on, and an exciting bit of news. So let's move on. So the Summer Games Fest wasn't the only games event that happened. As we said, there was about 1,000 in the last week. But one of the big ones was the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. And one of the most surprising bits of news was that Riot Games are teaming up with Xbox, and they're bringing titles like League of Legends to Game Pass. Ty has got me doing it. Game Pass. So the titles, including Wild Rift, Legends of Runeterra, Valorant, and Teamfight Tactics, interestingly, they're all free-to-play games already, but Game Pass subscribers will be able to unlock an array of cards, agents, characters, and other perks for free, which usually they'd have to access through microtransactions if they were playing the game outside of Game Pass. And it's a lucrative deal, which makes Game Pass even more attractive for PC players, and it also gets Microsoft nice and cozy, one of the most successful free-to-game play creators on the market today. And just to give an idea of how good of a deal that is for Game Pass subscribers, is that every League of Legends champion, of which there are 152, will be available. And if you were to get all of those with your own money, that's going to cost you $600. So that's your $11 a month. That's pretty good deal if you're into that game and want to play that. Also at the Xbox show, Hideo Kojima has announced that he's working on a new project with Microsoft, which I'm sure lots of people will be excited about. And it's apparently something he's always wanted to make, and now, thanks to some kind of cloud technology Microsoft is running on for him, he can. Kojima's team has since tweeted, "Please be assured that we continue to have a very good partnership with PlayStation as well. So there's no bad blood or long-term exclusivity going on from what we can see. It's just a mysterious announcement and something for Xbox fans to look forward to." Also at the show was Redfall, Starfield, which we'll talk a bit about later, and the new Forza Motorsport. So, lots going on there, Adam. What are your thoughts?
I mean, my first thought is the Riot Games deal initially, and it's not very exciting if you're not a fan of League of Legends. I mean, these aren't brand new games, they're not big new game announces, but that might prove to be the most impactful announcement that we've heard this week in terms of the announcements that we've seen from these shows, just because it's really a kind of statement, I guess, that Microsoft is prepared to go all in on free-to-play, but also mobile, because some of those games are mobile, like Wild Rift is a mobile-first game. And it's kind of new territory for them. I mean, I know they've Halo Infinite's free-to-play, but it is what it is. That's like a Halo game. It's not necessarily them stepping totally into that zone, whereas this is maybe a sign of much more to come. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned some of the maths around it as well. Just the sheer economics of it is interesting. I mean, I guess at some point from Riot's point of view, they just want to start acquiring more users, and they'll hope they're going to buy a skin or something which is not included, and that's how you make the money. But I'm guessing Microsoft has also paid them a significant amount, considering it's they're leaving over $600 on the table per customer. That's not something that Riot would give away for free, I don't imagine. So definitely really significant investment, and potentially going to be really impactful for the numbers of Game Pass subscribers on PC specifically, and I guess on the mobile side of things as well. No word yet on whether that stuff is really going to affect Xbox. Like, there was no Xbox console Riot Games stuff, which is interesting. Maybe an omission that they'll rectify later this year or next year. And yeah, everything else I thought was, it wasn't the best Xbox show we've ever seen. I think we kind of knew Starfield was getting delayed until 2023. There was nothing else really big happening this year. Halo Infinite continues to be plagued by content delays, so the new content for Halo is kind of constantly also getting pushed back. So there wasn't necessarily a huge amount of brand new stuff. I think Forza Motorsport showed well. It's about time for them to do that. I think Diablo 4 showed well, and I think the Hideo Kojima news as well about his new game. It's going to be a long way off, I imagine, but that could be really exciting. You think about the kind of the pop cultural iconness of Kojima and his games, like Metal Gear Solid and Death Stranding. That could become a very big game, but at this stage, it's nothing more than a discussion, is it? As far as we're concerned, we don't know anything about it. We don't know a title or how it's going to work or what it's even going to be. So not a lot to chew on from that side of things, unfortunately. But yeah, an okay show from Microsoft, I would say. Not bad, but definitely not as good as we've seen in other years.
Yeah. All you need is to say Kojima's name, new game coming, and people get excited. So, that's enough. But yeah, I think the Games Pass on PC is a really big thing, because I think it's often easy to forget when you're, like myself, more of a console player than a PC player, that the Game Pass is on PC, and I don't know whether it's. I always get the feeling like it's had a bit of a struggle to get cut through on PC, because if you're a PC player, you're kind of so ingrained in Steam, and obviously you pay for your games on Steam, whereas it's a very different model on Game Pass. But it feels like this, as you say, with the economical maths around it, the value that it can save you, like, it feels like maybe they're trying to really up their PC game. And I think they rebranded it last year or early this year. I forget, because time flows into one, but it feels like as time goes on, they are definitely putting more and more emphasis on the PC side of Game Pass, and maybe going to really try and take a run at taking some of Steam's market and getting some of Steam's players over to Microsoft. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with that. I think there's going to be more pushes throughout the rest of this year and probably early next year with PC Game Pass. So yeah, if you're a PC player, that's something definitely to keep an eye on. So I think that's all the news we've got for now. Well, I know it is, because I'm running the show. That's all the news we've got for now. So we are going to throw to the pre-recorded segment, and it's Adam, so you can't get away from him. He's going to be playing some Trek to Yomi. And he's playing that with Mehdi, who I believe is making his live show debut. So enjoy that, and in about 5 or so minutes we'll be back, and we're going to be talking about our favourite trailers from all the shows this week. So see you very soon.
Hey, welcome along. You are watching another Etch Play video with me, Adam Burt, and I'm joined this week by Mehdi, because we are checking out Trek to Yomi. He has played this before. He's going to be my guide to the world of Trek to Yomi. I have no idea what I'm doing. I do know what a samurai is, but that's about as much as I know going into this. Here we go. I can move around.
Scuttling around.
He's going to teach me some sword moves.
And these sword moves are actually pretty accurate to the way the samurai used to move.
Real samurai culture.
Yeah, it's actually very, very, very similar to the actual samurai culture. They held very true to it, which is nice to see.
Someone's screaming. Let's see if we can go and find him.
Here's screaming. Run towards it.
拙者から離れませぬよ。先生を見つけねば。
Uh-oh. Oh, this is very Seven Samurai, isn't it? You know, like the bandits turn up to the village.
Yeah, very, very, very samurai-esque story.
I mean, based on my initial tutorial combat, I don't have high level of confidence in repelling a gang of bandits.
Just obey the sensei. Don't forget what you've been taught.
Okay, I'm going to try and remember what Sensei taught me. Here I come. Uh-oh. Ah, there's two of them.
Nice, nice.
Oh, I've been stabbed in the face.
Oh no!
Oh.
You're doing so well.
Oh, mate.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to stay this side.
Here's back up. Nice. Sweet.
Oh, I'm getting tired. Uh-oh.
Tired state.
I'm in tired state. I'm tired.
Nice. Bam.
There we go.
Look at that.
Now who's been stabbed? Not me.
What's the combat like? How does it feel for you?
It's cool. I mean, it's got that kind of. Whereas like a boxing match is like you're punching each other until one of you like runs out of health. This feels like it's more like deliberate. Like you've really got to block. If you don't block, you will die.
Yeah.
Because I definitely did.
Do you feel like it's got that kind of parry system that like Assassin's Creed has?
Yeah, you're right. It is that sort of thing. Ah.
But I think it's quite fitting. I know some people like complain about it, saying it's a bit easy, but I think it's quite fitting because you want it to you want to flow for each person one by one by one. I feel like combat mechanics is a difficult one to pick. Look at that. Oh man, I'm gonna say it for the third time. The environment is unreal.
Okay. Here we go.
Pile of bodies.
I'm pretty tired, but I have killed several men.
This kid has seen way too much for his age.
Definitely. I mean, I'm glad that I grew up in like the 90s and not feudal Japan, because I would not have been able to do this.
Bam. The roll. Or just disembowel him. That's good too.
Yeah. Oh, rolling. That sounds good.
Nice.
Samurai.
Where's the sword go?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems dangerous to me. You know, they say like don't run with scissors. I think another one should be don't roll while holding a samurai sword.
I think I messed that up. I might have just stopped the pre-recorded segment. So
We're back.
I think we're back. I was trying to save some frame rate and I accidentally just put to mine Adam's faces staring at the camera, so I do apologise about that. I've ruined Medi's debut.
Wow, Medi's first ever
I've ruined it. I've ruined it.
Appearance. You cut him short. You cut him off the air.
That's what I get for trying to save some frame rate. So that full video is on YouTube. Please go check that out when we are done here, because it's a great video. So head over to Etch Plays YouTube and you can see Medi in all his glory without this idiot ruining it for him. So we're back. So I guess let's keep the show rolling. That's why you don't let amateurs run it. So we are going to be talking about some of our favourite trailers from the Summer Games Fest. And we asked around as well, so this isn't just me and Adam dictating. We asked our friends on the team, we asked our friends over in the UKGI Slack to see what they liked. So let's dive in, shall we, and have a look at some trailers. So the first one that caught my attention and a lot of people's that we were asking was the Plucky Squire. It's a quirky game developed by All Possible Futures and is being published by Devolver. So it's been described as a game where a storybook character discovers a three-dimensional world outside the pages of their book, and they must jump between 2D and 3D realms to save their friends in this action adventure. The reason I like this was I just love the art style. So you'll see in the trailer, which is playing now, you do a little bit in the book, which is kind of the 2D versions you'd expect, and then when it jumps out into the 3D world, which is about to happen now. I mean, I think this just looks incredible. Like, it looks amazing, and as far as I can tell from the trailer, which as it progresses, we're going to see some gameplay, and it just keeps looking like that. It almost looks like it's cinematic, but I think it looks like actual gameplay, so it looks a lot of fun. I love the art style. I was really excited to see this one pop up.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of Super Paper Mario, specifically the one, I can't remember what it's called now. Is it the 1,000-Year Door? The one where you have the ability to go 3D, like you can fold Mario into either 3D or 2D dimensions. And obviously this is a little bit more ambitious even than that, because it's like those different materials, those different kind of like surfaces that you're jumping in and out of, and it looks, like you said, it does look fantastic. And it coming out of Devolver as well, who is a publisher that I think we kind of all associate with high quality, AA standard work. So definitely one to watch, definitely one that we're all excited for, and really an example of a great trailer, because I think there was next to no hype before this trailer. Like, there was just no awareness of this game, and then all of a sudden, one trailer, that's all it takes. One good trailer is all it takes to have everyone talking about you. So it's really paid off.
Yeah, almost everyone I asked, it was one of the first games that they said when I was like, what caught your attention over the last week? The Plucky Squire just kept coming up and up and up and up. So yeah, it's definitely one to watch. People seem to be excited about it. I'm excited about it. So great trailer. Definitely one I'll be putting on my wish list. So moving on, we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but Routine was another one that came up when I was asking around. As we kind of mentioned earlier, this was initially announced about 8 years ago, so nearly a decade ago. It's been developed by Luna Software, who were developing it before, but has never seen a release, and people seem to think it was just dead, but it popped up again at the Summer Games Fest with a re-reveal trailer. Since the trailers aired, the Luna Software team have tweeted out that we are extremely happy to be back building Routine from the ground up. So they're starting again, essentially, and working with the amazing people at Raw Fury. So it's going to be Raw Fury that are going to be publishing it, and coming to PC, Xbox One, Series XS, and Game Pass. They don't know the release date yet, but they might know, but we don't know what the release date is set to be yet. But hopefully we'll find out soon, and hopefully I'm sure many people are crossing their fingers that it's not going to be another 8 years before we find anything else about this game. It's got real Alien Isolation vibes about it. It looks like maybe one if it comes out in time, which I'm not sure it probably will, for me to play at Halloween to scare myself again.
Maybe next Halloween.
Halloween.
Halloween 2023.
But again, it's another one which just looks great. I mean, horror's not really my thing, and it feels like it's maybe veering on that side, but the trailer has done enough to make me consider it, because it looks great, even though it's not really my genre, because I'm a big old scaredy cat. But
I mean, it looks horrifying. Like, let's be clear, it looks terrifying. I mean, this was a really big trend, almost a surprising trend, I thought, across all the shows, but especially the Summer Game Fest and the Xbox shows, which are the two we're focusing on, I guess, most of all. There's so many creepy space stations this year. We've got this, we've got the Callisto Protocol, there was like several others in the show of like varying degrees of quality. It's like, I'm a white man in space and I'm scared of robots. And it's like, okay, But there's a lot of these going around. But I think Routine really stands out. One, because it's got that heritage and that kind of legacy. People love a kind of redemption story of like a game that was supposed to come out years ago, being resurrected, and everyone wants it to do well. It's like a bit of an underdog story. And the trailer itself is just so effective. I think Mick Gordon's doing the audio here for this, and he's a very talented composer. And you can tell like the horror stings in the trailer, the little noises that kind of permeate the environment, and the way that kind of swells together when you get attacked or when the character gets attacked. There's definitely a lot of atmosphere here, and I think it's going to hopefully do really, really well. So yeah, we'd love to see more.
Yeah, when I was talking to people in the UK GI Slack, they were saying this holds a dear place in a lot of people's hearts, because when they were studying games themselves, like a lot of their tutors were working on this game, and it inspired a lot of like final year projects for students. So yeah, it's really exciting to see it back, and yeah, I'm looking forward to scaring the bejesus out of myself, because yeah, Spooky Space Station's so hot right now. Right, let's look at another one. So this was Tyre's pick from the Etch Play team. So Tyre called out Nightingale as her favourite trailer from the last week, which is a first-person action crafting game. It's been developed by Inflection Games. So we saw a new gameplay and features trailer drop at the Summer Games Festival, which we are watching right now, as you can see on the screen. And yeah, this looks like an interesting one. I know we've got Tyre in the chat, who is celebrating that we are showing this. But yeah, it looks cool. It's not the kind of game that I typically play, but it's, again, the trailer looks great, and it's piqued my interest. As Ty said, it's got really good vibes. So if this is your kind of game, I'm sure there's plenty of people excited about this one. Are you excited about this, Adam?
I think it might be not strictly necessarily, might not be for me, but I do recognise that there's sort of a lot of common trends or things that we've seen recently that may be inspiring this kind of title. I mean, you've got the almost Valheim-esque, I suppose, kind of exploration and like killing these like deer and creatures and stuff, and crafting as well is obviously a big part of that game. But also the kind of deck building. I think we're in the golden era of deck building and card combinations and those kind of games that allow you to, really influence the game that you're playing and the outcomes and the way things go using cards and card-inspired systems and the kind of randomness of drawing things from a deck. So definitely one to watch, and I can see why this would be top of someone's list. But yep. Too much crafting for me. I don't want to craft things.
That's fair. That's fair enough. Tyre will enjoy it. Right, we can't really not talk about Starfield, right? It's one of Xbox's biggest upcoming games. We know it was due to release this year. We already are aware that it's not going to. Bethesda have already pushed it back into the first half of 2023. But that obviously was going to almost certainly going to show up at the Xbox Bethesda showcase, which it did. So we got a look at a new story trailer, and they also did an extended kind of a deep dive into some of the gameplay as well. There's a lot of comparisons being made to a game we're very familiar and love, No Man's Sky. Obviously two very different games, but it is interesting that a lot of the community have kind of jumped on. I saw a lot of tweets about looking forward to No Man's Sky 2 and playing Bethesda's version of No Man's Sky, but obviously very different game. And
clearly it should be called No Man's Skyrim. Very good.
And we'll end the show there, because that's as top level as we're going to get. We're not going to top that. But no, it's a lot of people are excited for this, as seems to be the case, as we've talked about with these big AAA games. At the moment, they're all getting pushed back. This was one that was pushed back. It was nice to see the deep dive. It was nice to see some gameplay, because often a lot of criticism that lies at the door of AAAs at these big events is that we only see cinematic and we don't see gameplay. So it was nice to get some extended gameplay and kind of get a bit more of a feel about what the story for Starfield is going to be, because it certainly is going to be one of Xbox's big hitters next year. You would imagine, and as we kind of alluded to earlier with the issues that Halo has had since its delay and launch. I'm sure they are really hoping that this one lands a little bit smoother and people really enjoy it, which hopefully I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a Bethesda game, but in space. I mean, and I think you'll already know whether that's for you. Like, I think you'll know if you're a big Fallout fan or a big Elder Scrolls fan, and you also like the concept of space. Then you kind of know what you're getting here, and the reveal really just kind of showed us that it wasn't straying too far from that formula. Some interesting insight, I guess, into the kind of the level at which things might be different to previous games. It looks like it's going to be quite, maybe not quite as streamlined as like the newest Bethesda titles, like Fallout 76. There was some kind of like RPG crafting perk stuff in there, which I think people will value and hopefully appreciate. But I mean, it doesn't look a million miles away from Fallout 4 or New Vegas, but with a lick of paint and some spaceships. So. I think it could be really good. I think people will probably really like it, but it's definitely going to have those kind of that usual Bethesda kind of caveat of like, if you like their games, you'll like this one. If you're not a fan of their games, I don't think anything here is going to change your mind.
Yeah, I think you are right. Okay, let's move back to the indie scene after a little detour to some AAA game. So now we're going to look at a little to the left, which I saw people talking about a lot on Twitter, a lot in the UKGI Slack, and a lot in our team as well. So a little to the left is developed by Max Inferno and being published by our friends over at Secret Mode. It featured in Day of the Devs last week, and definitely seems to be a favourite amongst the community. It's a relaxing puzzle game where the aim is to sort, stack, tidy up the house, and there's puzzles hidden among the regular household objects, and you solve the puzzles by arranging them in a specific way. And it seems to fit nicely into the growing trend that seems to be around at the moment of kind of organisation games and relaxing through to bringing order to things. I saw Ty has already mentioned previously about chores, loving chores on a different trailer, and this one is kind of fits into that similar vibe, and people seem to be loving it. I mean, it looks really charming. It looks kind of like the perfect kind of indie game that is doing well, doing really well right now. Like, so yeah, what do you think, Adam? Are you going to be into this one? I feel like you're not really into doing chores in video games, but
I hate doing chores in real life and in video games.
Is this one charming enough to make you play it? Because it's very charming.
I'll probably try it, but I think, I mean, this is definitely a Tyre game. She should be on the show this week talking about all these chorathons. But I do actually, I'm a bit of a sucker for kind of like the live action aspects of games. I always think it's enjoyable when games have like a live action cinematic or a live action kind of feel to them, like one of those like crappy old like DVD games where you just like press left on the DVD remote to choose this, and then it's like a little clip of a film plays and you get another bit. Not saying this looks crappy, but it's just that's what it reminds me of when I see those like live action clips. So definitely worth checking out. But yeah, I'm not sure if it's for me. Definitely, you're right about the trend. You're right about the fact that it's like a trend of not just chores, but I think really it's the feeling, it's the wholesomeness of some of these titles, which I think is appealing to people in an otherwise nightmarish society. So there we go.
Yeah, it feels like from the trailer, from hearing from the developers, like it automatically makes me feel like I know them, and that just instantly made me more interested in the game than I perhaps would have been from just a trailer of just seeing the game. Hearing from them and kind of how it was made and why it was made, definitely got me interested and excited about it. So I think I might be adding that to my wish list as well. But as you say, yeah, Tyre is definitely going to be going out, and I can see that Dan wants to get signed up for that one as well. I know they were both big fans of Unpacking, which kind of, as you say, is a similar vibe, very wholesome game, very relaxing game. So yeah, that's one for those. Adam, shall we talk about a game that I know you are interested in, because this was your pick. This is Pentiment, if you're French, maybe.
I think Pentiment. I'm calling it Pentiment.
Okay, you don't want to be all French like Pentamont. But
no.
Tell us about this game. Why were you interested in this one? Why did it catch your attention of the hundreds of trailers we've seen over the last few weeks?
I mean, it's definitely got a style, and I think that's maybe a key component to a lot of the games that we've kind of pulled out. It's got a kind of a unique visual style compared to a lot of the titles. This one's obviously going for like medieval tapestry, medieval kind of bookwork, which I think is relatively untapped ground in games. There are a few games that operate in this space, things like Yes, Your Grace and Astrologaster. But this one is maybe got a little bit more meat around those bones because it's by Obsidian, who we know and love from big name RPGs like Fallout New Vegas and Outer Worlds. So for them to be tackling something like this, I think is quite exciting. It's something that maybe is a little bit constraining for them in being kind of 2D medium and being obviously has this really strict visual style it has to adhere to at all times. And hopefully that gives them the kind of license to really go wild with this, with the story, and just make this the most crazy narrative adventure that you could possibly imagine. I think it looks great, and I love the way that it just doesn't look like anything else on the market. And especially, we've talked about how the kind of almost a bit of a fatigue setting in with some of the titles being quite similar, being quite samey, a lot of action, a lot of sci-fi. Doing something different is a kind of a surefire way to get a little bit more attention, and I think a lot of our trailers we talked about today have shown that. But this one for me definitely stood out as like you know what, that's in an otherwise large field of military action shooters. This is something that I think is a little bit unique, a little bit different, and a little bit quirky, which I appreciate.
Cool. Yeah, and anything with a slightly different art style definitely catches my attention because it is such a far departure from what you see in the AAAs right now. And yeah, kind of this more narrative style and different art style definitely is appealing. So yeah, one to watch out for, and one you'll be looking to get your hands on when it comes out. Right, let's wrap it up. We've got the last trailer to look at, and this one came up a few times with people that I was speaking to, but I've included it as well because it is our very own Dan Thomas's favourite. This was the one he picked out. So this is Hollow Knight Silksong, which got an Xbox Game Pass reveal trailer, as you might expect, as part of the Xbox Bethesda Showcase event. And yeah, if you're a fan of the first Hollow Knight game, I'm sure you're going to be interested in a fan of this one. The trailer looks silky smooth. As we're looking at gameplay, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to play. Looks like it's going to run really well. So yeah, I think this is one definitely for Hollow Knight fans to be eagerly awaiting. And if you've got Game Pass, even better, because looks like you'll be able to play it day one when it comes out. So Adam, are you a Hollow Knight fan like our boss, Dan Thomas is?
No, I'm not a Hollow Knight fan, but I am aware that it's on Game Pass, and it's on my very long Game Pass list to eventually one day play. It has a really good reputation among kind of many Metroidvanias, as you could call them, I guess, kind of exploration, platforming, combat. And this new one does look good, and there's no denying that. I mean, I think what's interesting about this is how we've talked about how a lot of the trailers that stood out have offered something completely different. This doesn't actually look that different to Hollow Knight 1. This is an example of giving fans more of exactly what they already want. This is a developer who's confident in their own style and in their offering, and they're like, yeah, we know that Hollow Knight is good, and we're giving you more of that. So there's something appealing about that, definitely, that they've got that kind of self-awareness and confidence, like I say, to just approach it from that angle. And it's paid off because, yeah, it's a trailer that has really resonated with lots of people, particularly people who are fans of the original.
Absolutely. It's kind of like the two Ori games don't look too dissimilar, but they're both really fun to play and both did really well. So, yeah, if it's working, then, yeah, stick to it. So, yeah, Dan Thomas is saying very much looks like more of the same, which is perfect. Give the fans what they want, and they will play it. If you've got a good formula and it works, why throw the baby out with the bathwater? Stick to what's working. So that'll do us. There was lots and lots and lots of trailers and announcements that we haven't touched on because there were hours worth of shows and we have 30 to 40 minutes to talk about it. So those were just a few that we picked out. Interestingly, I think a lot of them were leaning more on the indie side of things rather than the big AAAs, which is what these shows are great for, in getting the indie games and get their names out there and people interested in them. So we'd be really interested to find out what your favourite trailers were. So drop us a tweet at Etch Play. Adam, thank you for joining me as always. Really appreciate your company. Really appreciate your thoughts on the news, on the trailers. And
You're welcome.
we'll be back next week at 4 p.m. If you haven't already, hit the follow button here and make sure you head over to YouTube to watch the full video of Adam and Mehdi playing Trek to Yomi. It's a great video. So we're done here now. Get yourself across to YouTube and check that video out. Thanks to everyone for joining us in the chat, and we will be back next week. Until then, see you later.